episode. And this is episode number 90 of Elephant in the Room, but it is the first live episode that we've done. It's amazing, right? But that's Jake Coker, and I'm Mick Gillispie. We appreciate you being here. Make sure that you guys give us a thumbs up. Make sure you're a subscriber. We're doing it for you. We're going to talk some recruiting. Alabama closing in on one of the nation's best running backs. They had a linebacker flip. I want to know, is it one of those deals where they were like, maybe we might not get this guy because we're kind of eyeballing this guy? Could be. I'm going to tell you who the next guy could be in that slot. And then he's going to tell you that if you don't want to be here, go lose somewhere else. Come to Alabama to win championships. All that right here on Elephant in the Room. He's Jake Coker. I'm Mick Gillispie. Roll Tide. Let's get this show started. The elephant had your hat on, didn't he? What's up, man?
What's going on?
Don't get stage fright in front of this live audience.
I was sitting there thinking, you lost some weight, hadn't you?
Yeah. I have, actually. I have. It's because I walk 5 miles.
I was about to say.
Since that opened?
You and that elephant look like y'all wore the same size T-shirt for a little bit.
Was it you guys I was in here? Somebody reminded me the other day. I was talking about how we got the elephant as a mascot. And they were like, oh, I didn't know, because it was on the trunks that we would send out to the Rose Bowl when we would go out there on those train trips.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, that's when I realized, like, I'm an OG. Like, I really am.
You know, I've read that. I know the story of the Crimson Tide, the jerseys and the AD saying it was, but where did the elephant come from?
Well, you're talking about when we run out on the field and it looked like a
Crimson Tide.
Crimson Tide. Yeah, like that. Whoa. No, I think the trunks that they used to put all their equipment in when they would, train out to the West Coast to go kick some ass.
Yeah.
That they had the elephant on there. I mean, we think about like Alabama football in terms of like Bear Bryant and Nick Saban, but man, they were beating people up like Frank Thomas and Wallace Wade, which was before our time.
Oh yeah. I mean, Natty's back in the 20s.
Yeah, right. You know? And that's what it came from. But you talk about of all the mascots, an elephant's a hard mascot to beat, man. That's a pretty. I mean, like, think about it. Like, what really beats an elephant?
It's pretty unique. I mean,
the tusks and everything.
Yeah, I mean, you could just say we're going to be the Auburn Tigers. Yeah,
and there's like 5 other ones.
Another tiger. Cool.
Hey guys, as you hang out with us live, I just want to say this: Roll Tide, Southern Red. Roll Tide to you, Steve. Roll Tide to you. So Roll Tide to all you guys, and get in the comments section. And again, give us a thumbs up if you want to see us do more live shows. Then we need you guys to support this show being live, and it's all these times that you've been on my channel live before, but you've never been on this channel.
No, not this one live.
So this is a big deal. And before we even get into the recruiting stuff, we're going to start the show out with, and then we're going to swing back and talk Alabama football. I know you've got your odds over there. 90 shows, man. Have I known you for 90 shows?
When did we
This
start?
is the 90th episode.
When did we start? Last September?
You were very skeptical of this. Just admit it.
I was.
I could see it in your eyes.
Oh, yeah. Well, when they told me who the host would be, I don't know. Won't count on doing this long.
I'm going to mute myself because I know you guys are like, oh, I laugh too much. Honestly, man, I thought it would be fun, but I didn't realize it was going to be this much.
Oh, I know. I mean,
I thought it would be. I knew it would be good.
Like you wouldn't know Ryan Anderson right now.
I know. My son's idol. My son loves him. We're just like chop through it.
I hear. He opens the door. I wish it was Ryan.
Ryan's got like a superhero in his mind.
Yeah, Yeah. Jake's just like, oh, the businessman's here.
Yeah. The funny thing is when Jake went to my son's named Jake too, goes to his 6th grade graduation and he's dressed up and he's like, I look like Jake Coker. It looked like that. Had the haircut like that. The button down, the polo action. So, all right, well, let's start right here. Bama has had in the recruiting world here, we've had some hits, man. We've lost some guys. We lost, Coleman jumped off and went to Auburn. We lost the other guy to Auburn, Smith, and then now we lose another guy. I'm going to talk about him in a second, to Tennessee. Before we even get there, though, A.K. Deer is now starting to be projected as a 5-star by some of the publications. He's a 4-star in others. Quitman, Mississippi running back. This guy is an absolute beast. Scored 22 of the team's 27 touchdowns. Decommitted from Ole Miss, playing for a guy that you might know as Lane Kiffin. And he's going to make his announcement on August 20th. If you're one, and I know you, Jake, you're not the kind of guy that's going to say, hey, man, come here because it's going to help me. And you're not going to tell anybody to come to Alabama because that's what they want to hear. With that said, for a guy with the kind of skills that this guy has, his ability to catch the ball, run it, like how he'd fit into this offense, what would you say to this guy as he's making his decision?
Well, I mean, you just got to go back and watch Kalen DeBoer over the years. I mean, the guys, look what he's done for some of these receivers, quarterbacks, running backs he's coached. I mean, look at the guy, that receiver in Chicago right now. That guy's, I think he just had a signing bonus of $13 million, making a lot of plays, and a lot of that is because of the exposure and what he learned at Washington. I mean, look, Kalen DeBoer's won with less talent than most coaches over the last 5 years. To me, his resume, he hadn't been in the SEC yet, but football is still football no matter where you go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I mean, Lane taught us that he can come in and change an offense completely and be successful in the SEC. Really, he changed SEC football. I mean, prior to him coming in, it was dominant defense and ball control.
Right.
And it turned into explosive plays, a lot of horizontal movement, just masterful matchups, getting guys in the right spot. And when you watch Washington over the last few years, I didn't watch a ton, but when later on in the year last year, especially when you watched, some of the schemes he drew up from Penix and those receivers, and especially when they played Michigan, I mean, so outmatched, especially up front. And really what kept them out of the game was just execution on a lot of, 5 or 6 plays where they had wide open looks, just not executed, and it kept them out of the game. So,
yeah, like some throws where if Penix would have just had a second more time, it would have been big plays, right? Because I know, because I was pulling for Michigan because I had him in that, that Mike Johnson's bowl, which he's part of the channel now, so I can kind of brag on that to his face. They don't. Hey, he'll tell you they don't invite me to any of their stuff.
I will say though, man, Michael Penix,
I love that guy
because you get beat up that much. It's hard to stand in there and make throw after throw, just getting hit in the chin every play.
Yeah. Well, you guys played against a guy in 2015 that just took a beating, man, and that guy would back up the quarterback.
Which one?
From Deshaun Watson. I mean, he got hit hard. I mean, he would just keep backing up, and just. I have so much respect for that guy's game. Just having seen him play 2 straight years against Alabama, how good he was.
He may be the best college quarterback I've ever seen play.
Yeah, I mean, I can't disagree with it.
That we played against.
Yeah, but I know what you mean. But you know what I'm saying? He had the ability to somehow get out of the way because we were in the backfield all game.
The athleticism and
both games.
The accuracy that he had was just unbelievable to me, and really, I mean, the pick that I remember that Eddie Jackson made, I mean, that was just one people don't realize how cerebral you have to be on a football field to make the interception that he made. I mean, it was pretty much a pick play, and that was not Eddie's job to cover that route, but he knew what the offense was doing and what they were trying to do.
Watching film.
And he just peeled off and intercepted that ball because that's where the quarterback's supposed to throw it against that defense. But
wow,
when you know what's coming, you alter what you're supposed to do.
Hey, look, Deion Sanders made a career out of that.
That's confidence in knowing football and understanding, hey, I'm not where I need to be in order to make this play, and I'm about to surprise them here.
Yeah. Ed Reed.
That's what Eddie Jackson's just, I mean,
was that good?
The guy's unreal.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens. I think he's coming to Alabama. I mean, I just think so. Alabama's lost like 3 straight players. Like they had the #1 recruiting class, and then boom, boom, boom. Like all of a sudden, like they lose this guy, Jaden Harmon, Rome, Georgia linebacker. Now they have a lot of linebackers in that 2025 class, but he flips his commitment from Alabama to Tennessee. And when that happened, I was like, you realize that there's a lot of money involved now in this, but when's the last time like somebody flipped from Alabama to Tennessee? I mean, what advice would you give them on that right there?
I mean, how much they offering you? Does it mean that much? I mean, I don't know. This is such a different dynamic than what I'm used to,
different.
What I came up through.
Right.
I mean, back then, you got some help here and there, but it wasn't like, I mean, I guess, I think we all know Cam Newton got a little more than just help. I think we know Johnny Manziel got a little bit more than just help.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're not just a big splash guy, I mean, the money wasn't worth jumping from one school to the other.
I can't believe you didn't just get one bag of money.
No.
I mean, wouldn't that have been nice? What would you have bought with all of it?
What would I have bought?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm pretty cheap.
You'd have socked it away.
I probably would have.
Yeah, right. Well, those days are over. And I think it's going to affect, it's going to be hard to get a recruiting class to the finish line because teams are just going to just start throwing money at guys. Now this, Harmon he's a good football player. Alabama's got 4 other linebackers. And according to our friend Andrew Bone,
you don't know how it's going to shake out.
You never know,
drives
right?
me crazy is these commitments. Like, what does a commitment even mean anymore?
Right.
And guys just flip flop. It's just, if you commit, why commit unless you're going there?
Right.
It just sucks that, if you tell somebody if you're telling a coach, this is, and I know these are young kids, they don't realize this. But I mean, these are these coaches' jobs. This is what they feed their families based on, their performance on the field. And so, when you tell somebody you're going somewhere, you tell somebody you're going to do something, I just hate it with that much weight, especially for those coaches. I mean, I feel like they ought to be able to count on you unless something just really bad happens, just catastrophic on the recruiting trail where you find out they're being, just egregiously dishonest.
Yeah.
I mean, I get that, but flipping just because this coach called you a couple more times, or now they come up with a bunch of NIL money. I mean, and you don't really care which school you go to. It's all about development and money. Then, it is what it is, and the coaches probably know what they're getting into.
My dad used to say all the time, money talks and bullshit walks. And I mean, I always think about that as I'm taking less money to do other jobs because I just feel part of me doesn't believe that. I know money is important, but I also believe being around people that I want to be around is important. I have a rule, and I've probably said this to you. I say it all the time. I don't work for people I don't like.
Yeah.
Like we work with Disrupt the Media and the Next Round guys because I like those guys.
Well, if you have
I mean, at the end of the day, that's more important to me than making a couple extra dollars somewhere else. And I don't like working there.
Well, and
is that a fair statement?
Well, yeah. And it also means you believe in yourself that you're going to be okay.
That's true.
Taking less money because you're going to outperform a lot of your competition.
Yeah.
Football is a little different. You can break your leg in half and never play again. So,
Golly,
I mean,
man, I hate that too.
It's part of it. But, you know, if these kids are just, you know, flip flopping because of 50 grand or, you know, small amounts of money, I just hate to see that.
Yeah.
You know, again, you give somebody your word. I think you ought to stick to it.
I feel like that's kind of the world we live in now. And I am going to talk about Ty Jackson, the 4-star linebacker from Seminole Ridge High School in Florida that Alabama is in a dogfight for now. But I think, you know, I think with some of these guys that are decommitting and going to other places, I feel like this staff came in and they didn't realize that they were going to have the success that they had. And I think they were probably like, you know what? We just need to kind of go after the guys that are on our board that are familiar with Alabama. And then all of a sudden it's like, okay, boom, 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 boom. They start nailing down all of these like big time recruits. And then you start looking around and you're like, man, we got like 5 spots left. And we need a safety, you know, do we do a, you know, another wide receiver if we could get a 5-star, you know, we need another running back, but we're going to get AK Deer. I just feel like there's a panic there. And I didn't like losing Antonio Coleman at all, because I don't think you can ever have enough guys on the offensive line, which they have killed it in this class, and on the defensive line to get after the quarterback. And that's just me as like I feel like football games are really one.
Have that. You can never have too many guys in the trenches.
Yeah, like that's straight from Mike Johnson. I mean, like telling me that you win football games.
Oh yeah,
you know, with the core. You know, but I mean, and at the end of the day, I'm curious to see how this turns out.
If you can't stop the run and you don't have time to throw the ball, or if you don't have the ability to run the ball, really, if you don't have the ability to run the ball and you can't stop the run, then you're done. You're not going to win consistently. Yep. It's just not going to happen.
So, you know, so we'll see what happens, but it does. I didn't. I mean, just selfishly, I did like it when we had the number 1 recruit class. Yeah, that's pretty cool. I'm not going to say that wasn't, but I also don't think it's the end of the you know, at the end of the day, I think we're going to be all right. I think we're going to get AK Deer. I think we'll battle for Ty. And
yeah, man, at the end of the day too, I think when recruits see the transition between DeBoer and Coach Saban, and I have a lot of confidence in this staff. I think when they see us, you know, showing what we can do with the talent we have this year, and that it's, you know, I say we're on an upward trend. We're on an upward trend from where we thought we'd be as soon as Coach Saban left.
Right. We dried our eyes quick
by the time. But I mean, if you see a guy from the Northwest who everybody was skeptical could recruit at any point, have the number 1 recruiting class, that tells me that recruiting is a priority to him and he's getting after it.
Yeah, right.
You know, I mean, this isn't a Brian Harsin type deal.
No.
You know, I mean, I don't ever remember there being a splash at Auburn when he showed up.
I forget the guy's name. If you didn't say Harsin, I would probably call him Harbin.
Well, I
no disrespect,
but you can't really name one thing that
sorry guys,
Coach DeBoer's done since he's been there where you're like, I don't know about that. Maybe you can, I don't know, but I don't feel like there's anything like fundamentally that he has done incorrectly since he stepped foot in Tuscaloosa.
Well, here's what's going to happen.
Involvement. I mean, he's done a great job branding the transition. You watch him in interviews; he does a great job. His demeanor, the way he handles the media, and then the way the players react to him, and you can tell it's genuine. You know, I mean, the guy. I think he's just got a great feel for how to run a successful college football program.
Yeah, no, I feel like that too. I mean, you've run into him a few times. You know, I have too, and he's done a great job. Like I'm very comfortable with where the program is right now with Kalen DeBoer. I really am. I'm so curious to see how good this offense is going to be, you know, and
I've heard again, I know we just talked about it, but I've heard it's playing pretty well.
You know, it's got to be. I mean, I felt like last year, I honestly, man, you and me talking, I mean, off the record. I mean, and you guys that are watching,
Okay.
I wasn't a Bill O'Brien fan. Okay. I'm just going to tell you guys out right now. I didn't think Bill was creative enough with the style of offense that you need to play in college football. I just thought he was too conservative. I thought we wasted a team that could have won a national championship because, I'd watch the offense and it would be just so generic. I get it. You have a Heisman Trophy winning quarterback. I love Bryce Young. You love Bryce Young. We both love Bryce Young. We both think he's maybe the best player Alabama's ever had.
Yeah.
And that offensive game plan stunk. It was terrible. I mean, it was just so generic. And then last year, I kind of felt like there was a learning curve there. I thought we had a much better. We were a little more creative.
Once we established stability at the quarterback position,
right, we were better. We were
far more advanced than we were game 1 through game 3.
But it wasn't what you guys were doing. We weren't misdirection. We weren't, it wasn't like when I watched the Lane Kiffin years and the Steve Sarkisian and then Mike Loxley, just you never knew what was going on. It reminded me of USC back when they had Reggie Bush and all those guys.
Yeah. But, again, if Lane had the same demeanor as Coach Saban,
he'd be a machine.
The best coach. I mean, by far the best offensive coach in college football ever. But if he had that same demeanor, that just the same discipline that Coach Saban had, he wouldn't be at Ole Miss. He'd be at Alabama or Texas, or he probably would have never left USC or Tennessee.
That guy's you talk about a book. First time I remember him being at the Raiders. The last time that Al Davis ever, Al Davis was the Mr. Raider.
Yeah.
And he hired Lane. And then when he fired him, he didn't just fire him. He came out and talked about what a terrible guy he was. Do you know this? He came in and did a press conference and he talked about how terrible he was. It's crazy. It was crazy. And then he went to USC. He went to Tennessee from there. And then he left after a year. And genius with baggage is the way that I would probably say about Lane. But I mean, the genius is there, man. I mean, the way that the offense was put together.
I think it's tough though Monty was one of the best coaches to ever live.
Yeah.
Lane came
defensive
out the gate,
coach.
Lane came out the gate hot in the coaching world, made a boatload of money right off the bat. He's to me, that's no different than a kid coming out of college making a ton of money. More money they know what to do with, access to more things than you know what to do with. And I think you get a little careless or reckless or, whatever you want to call it. But from what I hear at Ole Miss, he is locked in and he seems to be doing great. And he's done a great job at Ole Miss. And I think he's making Ole Miss more and more relevant, each year.
They have a chance this year.
Yeah. And I think ultimately, he's going to go down as one hell of a coach. And I think he's really figuring it out. I think he's going to do a great job. He is doing a great job. But
Hattie May, thank you for subscribing, everybody, as we do our first show live. 80 shows. No, 90 shows. Right? Are we at 90? We're at 90.
It says episode 90 at the top. So,
that's what, it's crazy. It's crazy that we're at 90 right now. Thank you for subscribing. And I'm gonna get to your question or your comment about Michigan hiring Coach DeBoer, because it wouldn't surprise me if he would have went there. But what I want to tell you guys is that you can sign up for covercrimson.com right now for $1. Message board, great information. We got some really funny stuff coming up, and we got a lot of insider information that we're going to put on there as well. So that's the crux of what we do. There's also going to be video content that you have to be a subscriber to get, and for $1, you can sign up right now. Thank you for being part of this from Jump Street, and we really appreciate you for doing that. All right, now back to
I see a
what's that?
See, Keith Holcomb just commented. Is that Keith, is that you, buddy?
Do you know Keith?
Yeah, Keith. I mean, if that's the same Keith, it's Keith that we played together at Alabama.
You played with a Keith Holcomb. All right. Hattie May says, if we wouldn't have hired DeBoer, he would have been hired at Michigan. Man, I'll tell you this. I really feel like if Michigan's head coach, and thank you, man.
Keith said no.
Different. There's a lot. Oh, the Keith Holcomb that played baseball and football. Okay. Hey, other Keith?
Yeah.
The other Keith. Just like old school. No. The Hangover.
Yeah, like you just said.
Doug.
No.
Baseball and football. I agree, man. I think that if Alabama would have won the game and went to the national championship, Saban might. I don't know how it would have ended with Saban, but it probably wouldn't have ended what it did. And I think that Michigan, I think that the Michigan job would have opened, and I think that they would have hired DeBoer. I really do. I think we kind of lucked up on that as far as getting Kalen DeBoer, who is a fantastic hire.
I think Kalen DeBoer is the football Nate Oates. I mean, I know he was more high profile than Nate Oates, at the time, but I think Greg Burns has got a great way of recruiting these guys, finding them, understanding who they are, and bringing the right personnel to Alabama. And when that transition happened, I'm sitting there thinking Dan Lanning. It's no way it's anybody else, because he's been to Alabama, did a great job there, was very, very respected, in that facility. I just thought there was no way it was anybody else. But and he'd have been great at Alabama too. But I just seeing Coach DeBoer and watching him do what he's done, I don't know how you justify there being a better hire than him.
Yep. Keith says, that is my name, brother. Hey, that's how I feel about Robert Gillispie. We should be cousins. Spelled this one letter difference, but the fact that there's a Gillispie on the coaching staff always makes me feel more comfortable about what they're doing. And then the best part is that the Gillispie didn't haul ass on Alabama when T-Rob and all those guys were leaving everywhere,
Yeah, he wouldn't be claiming him then, huh?
No, he wouldn't be my cousin anymore. No, I'm just kidding. I remember when he was a running back at Florida and secretly pulling for him.
You secretly pulled for him?
Yeah, not against Alabama, but against
what
other
years was he
teams.
at Florida.
He's a running back.
I know what years though.
I don't know, but I remember they were good, and he was a running back. I remember because look, it's not like there's a lot of Gillespies floating out there.
No, there's not.
So I mean, you see one, and you're like, oh, okay, one of our guys. But how many cokers do you run into?
Not many. Not many.
So you know what I mean? You know when you run into another coker.
Yeah, I mean, I found out there was a lot while I was playing in Alabama. All of a sudden, I got cousins everywhere.
Oh, you did? we were trying. I don't want to say who it is because he's friends with somebody.
We're Ned's kids.
Yeah, right. I don't want to call this guy out because I've got too close of a connection to this very famous country singer, but he's from somewhere that I work outside of Fairhope, and he doesn't like going home because he says when there's so many people there that claim, that are their relatives every time he comes home. So we were trying to get into a concert. He's like, I'm not doing it. You know what I mean? And don't figure it out, please. Okay. I'll cut you off the air. One of my friends is really good friends with him, so I don't want to get out. But you know what I mean. All right, here's another one. And I know you are a huge basketball fan, and when as soon as I go through this, you pull that out, okay? Because I know you're ready to talk some lines right now.
There's just a couple.
Okay, but here, let's talk hoops 1 second.
Yeah.
Okay. Bama's going to play an exhibition game October 28th versus Memphis at the Von Braun Center in Huntsville. I love it, man. Like, wait,
when are they playing?
October 28th, the couple days before Halloween. But I love the fact that Nate Oates is just like, man, give me anybody that's willing to play, and we're going to play them.
That's like Bobby Bowden's Florida State.
Yeah, back in the day.
Anybody, anytime, anywhere. I mean, that's the only way you get better. It's like playing in the SEC. You play in the SEC, you will rise. I mean, your program will get better.
Yep.
Because when you show up to an SEC matchup, especially as Alabama, I mean, there's so many good matchups. The stadium's always packed, and nobody wants to go to a game and watch their team get blown out. And so there's automatic pressure, to raise the bar. And Arkansas's got a big fan base. They're not a power in the SEC, but everybody takes it seriously over there. I guess the only Vanderbilt's the only team I'd say we could probably trade for. I don't know, Clemson or Florida State, but
yeah, I'm ready for it. I'm ready for some hoop. I'm multitasking. Okay.
I'm sitting over here like, what's going on?
How are you doing over there?
I'm
can
good.
I help you with anything?
No,
are you good?
Good.
You good?
I'm good.
All right. So this is your favorite part of the show. I hear it.
Well,
I know it. I'm ready
to get your take on this.
Okay.
Because I'm wondering if it's, and we'll get these going in the comments too. I want to see everybody's.
Let me set it up.
There's two games I'm looking at, which are pretty big games, but the line jumps out at me. Georgia -14 against Clemson. Please comment what you who you'd take in the comments.
Okay.
And then Texas A&M, Notre Dame. Texas A&M is favored by 1.5.
Okay. All right, guys, and as you do that, I want to
keep in mind Georgia's the number 1 team in the country.
Right.
Clemson's the number 14 team in the country, and Georgia is favored by 14 over the 14th ranked team in the country. Texas A&M is a 1.5 favorite over the number 7 Notre Dame team.
But no offensive line. But what I was going to say is that we're brought to you by MyBookie.
You had to say that.
No,
I just want general perception.
Okay,
here.
I'm just telling you they don't have any offensive linemen. But what I do want to say is that we are proudly presented to you guys by MyBookie. We've all been there before. A weekend trip to the casino canceled because real life came calling. MyBookie's new and improved online casino is here to change the game. Dive into a truly realistic casino experience featuring the latest in slots, progressive jackpots, and live dealer action, all from the comfort of your own home.
Freaking Brett getting in there and ruining the.
Is that big sexy Elmo?
Yeah. Hey, Brett, chill out.
Yeah, Brett. The MyBookie Casino provides a Las Vegas experience when the action is in your. You're gonna make me laugh. In your hands, and you don't even have to wear pants. Talking about Brett. Start at MyBookie today with a generous sign-up bonus using promo code next round, and a revamped loyalty program ensures a host of exclusive VIP perks. The more you play, the more you win with MyBookie. There he is. Let's put him up there. Big sexy Elmo.
Brett, you want winners?
Big sexy Elmo. And look, the minute he pops on, we go. If you guys are watching right now, thumbs up, please. There's 100 of you guys hanging with us right now. Give us a thumbs up and help the algorithm. This is our 90th episode, but it's the first one we've done live, and we're doing it for you, not for Brett, but for you guys. And Brett says leave his pants out of the conversation. All right, throw them up there. All right, let's do this again. Let me get back in on this. Southern Red says Georgia will win, but she'll be pulling for Clemson.
Yeah. And old Keith Holcomb, as much as I love the name, I think you're the Joe of the week.
Falling for the trick.
Yep. Denzel, he might be a. So, anytime there's a top 10, top 15 matchup and you got double-digit favorites, I always lean towards that favorite because most people are going to bet. They're going to bet on the underdog, especially double digits. Georgia, I mean, they're going to be damn good this year. 14s. I think Georgia will probably beat them by 21. We'll see. I don't think Clemson's all all that talented, but I still think the public's going to lean towards Clemson on that one.
Okay.
Notre Dame. I mean, giving 1.5 to me, that one jumps off. Number 20 team versus number 7 team, and you got Texas A&M favored by 1.5. There's no way that the betting public is going to be on Texas A&M that game. Texas A&M to me is premature lock of the week. That's it right there.
Okay. All right.
I should have asked you your opinion first because
I mean, like, I feel like Mike Elko is going to utilize the talent that they have there. They've got the money. They're recruiting all of a sudden starting to pick up. And Notre Dame's having a lot of trouble right now staying healthy on the offensive line. I mean, how are they going to figure that when you kind of move to where the kickoff? I mean, what are we talking about with Alabama, Jake? We're talking about the strength of the team being the offensive line.
Did you just say were you talking about Notre Dame there?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know much about Notre Dame.
They're down they can't even name a starting offensive line because they're so hurt.
And also Notre Dame is finally playing a pretty strong week 1 game.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, did you see Manti Te'o talking about 2013 national championship?
Yeah, I did. And I saw your buddy talking about it.
Oh,
like,
AJ didn't.
AJ went right at him, didn't he? Was that a throat shot by him? I mean, I couldn't believe
Clinton
that.
Dix threw a jab in there too, man. Everybody's piling on. I was like, what happened?
Did you think about telling your Manti Te'o story?
No. We're not talking about that.
So were you surprised that AJ kind of went in there? They were saying that they didn't belong there.
Oh, they knew. I mean, they knew. It's kind of like when we were playing Michigan State. You could tell all our coaches knew. You get a feel during the week, and watching film as a player, I don't think you really, really know unless it's very, very obvious.
Right.
Like, I mean, hell, there were some games we went into overconfident, and the game ended up being pretty close. So, I mean, you never know, but every now and then you really know.
Yeah, well, that's how I was.
When you're playing for national championship, it's not like you're coming out flat.
No,
I mean, you're ready to go for a national championship game, and so, God, that Manti Te'o must have felt like he was on an island. I mean,
well, they said he was a pretty good football player, and I'm looking for the print right now. Oh, there it is, right there. There's Manti Te'o getting run over by Eddie Lacy. So I went with Cheryl Yingling. Shout out to Cheryl. We went to the game. I had a press pass, hung out with my friends during the game. It was awesome. Yeah. Yingling Lager, Cheryl. Yeah, it was good. I remember we went out to dinner with her dad, Dick Yingling, who's like the president of the Yingling. And the guy comes to the table and he's like, "Hey, what can I get you guys to drink?" And then he realizes it's the owner of Yingling Lager and down in Miami, Yeah. And it came back with 4 Yinglings. We didn't even order. It's just great. But then the game happened. I was on the sideline and I got my picture taken. I met Vince Vaughn. And I'm watching Notre Dame and I'm like, man, guys, I'm just going to tell you right now, I'm an Irish guy. I mean, look, my name's Mick. I mean, like I grew up thinking Notre Dame before I came to Alabama was like, and it's been a long time now, but that was the school that all the Irish people went to. It was like watching Rocky for Italians, and I'm like, man, these guys, like they got the golden helmets and then like it was 28-0 or whatever before I even blinked,
I gotta. So I when I was in Arizona, one of my teammates was Matthias Farley, and he was a DB for Notre Dame. And we came in the same class, and he used to give me, which I don't know why, a Notre Dame grad, player would talk shit to an Alabama guy. But finally, I just got tired of it, and I sent him this picture right here. Can everybody see that? And that ended the conversation.
I mean, it was so crazy. Like, I mean, like, I didn't see it coming. I thought, man, these guys look big and strong, and they got the golden helmets, and
I'll say we played Notre Dame
Whoa.
my true freshman year in the Citrus Bowl when I was at Florida State, and it was pretty cool. I mean, the
Great
gold
fight
helmet
song.
they were playing. Was it Shipping Up from Boston?
Yeah.
The band was playing that before the game, and it was pretty wild. They had a lot of people travel. First time the Citrus Bowl had ever been sold out for that game. And it was a wild atmosphere, and that was pretty cool. But Notre Dame, and we beat them.
Yeah.
But again, it's kind of like Notre Dame's. They're independent. They don't play in a conference.
Right.
You don't play. The best thing for Notre Dame would be go to the SEC and
take your whoopings.
Yeah,
and build up.
Yeah, I mean, just get pounded by the SEC and realize you got to do something about it to get better at football. Otherwise, you're just going to keep showing up in a national championship and getting pounded by SEC teams.
Yeah. What do you think's better? Eddie Lacy's circle move, where he would do like the little spin move, or Najee Harris's like leap.
Oh,
those are two you're talking about, like iconic moves right there.
Or Derek Stiffarm.
Yeah, Derek Stiffarm. I honestly, Derek Stiffarm was so violent.
What was Mark Ingram's signature move? I felt like he never really had a signature move. He just scored a lot of touchdowns.
You know what he was good at? He was good at reading the line.
He made some cuts.
Yeah,
the
but
cuts in the backfield,
the vertical ability,
hitting the hole and making cuts.
Yeah,
that was probably his.
But waiting for the block.
He set up runs perfectly.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah,
let his blocks get in the right let their line get in the right position and just cut and go. That's kind of him and Josh Jacobs reminded me a lot of each other.
Yeah,
Josh Jacobs, man, he saw a hole and he was gone.
I love Mark
Ingram.
Ingram.
If you got in front of him, it was just punishment.
Oh yeah, he might outrun you too.
And that guy had no offers coming out of high school outside of Alabama.
Yeah, Ryan's agent, and they're the same agent. They had the same agent.
Him and Josh.
Yep. That because I'm friends with him. That's kind of how I met Ryan before I knew any of this stuff. And then look at his career. But I love Mark Ingram on the shows, man. What a great representation of Alabama.
You know what the best thing about him is, though, is he doesn't try to be neutral.
Mm-mm.
He's just himself up there. I mean, just energetic Alabama. You got to. I wish when they had alumni come on, that played for whoever. Just don't pretend like you're not a fan, like you're not pulling for Alabama
right.
or USC or whoever you graduate, whichever school you graduated from. Just, it's college football. It's what it's supposed to be.
It's like I said, I'm going to tell you right now, man, my nephew's coming to Alabama. Don't ask me. You know what I mean? I mean, you just don't ask me. Like because I can't tell you, I don't want to influence your life. Because if you ask me, I'm going to influence you.
Oh yeah.
And I can't go on these shows. And I've been told before, like, in other places I've worked, we're like, you got to be objective. And I say, F that, man. I'm not objective. I'm an Alabama guy. I want Alabama to win every single game.
Yeah.
And I don't want to go somewhere where I can't say that. So I'm on Cover Crimson. Oh, my goodness. All right. It's been fun, dude.
That show flew by.
We've done 43 minutes. You want to do another, do you want to get to an hour just to say we did it, or what are you thinking over there?
What's the next topic?
How about this? We got 110 people hanging out with us right now. You guys throw up some topics and we'll do 15 minutes of just whatever you guys want to talk about. I see some I'm not going to get into.
Yeah, I see a couple on there.
But I like you guys because you're in my head, but I'm not going to talk about it.
Let's see. Which location is most intimidating or annoying to play at? Mississippi State's the most annoying, no doubt about it. That damn cowbell. That is the most annoying. Have you ever been to Mississippi State? No point. Yeah, I get it. you can hear everything.
No, I've never played at Mississippi State.
No, I said, have you ever been to Mississippi State?
Yeah, I've seen us lose there. Think about how long ago that was.
And you had to listen to those cowbells.
It was terrible. They had Jackie Sherrill. I
listened to that one on the 07.
Yeah.
I listened to that one on the radio.
I remember
Eli didn't have a whole lot to talk about back then.
There were some other ones like the crazy thing, and you and I've talked about this. Like, I still see them as a physical football team that gives us trouble, and it hasn't been that way in decades. But it's because when I was in school, we lost to them. You know, they were like, 97. They were a good team. Like, they used to they gave Alabama a lot of trouble back then. And I remember that one too, but I've been there. Their fan base, actually really good people. They're really nice fans. They beat you. They're not rubbing it in. Not like playing Florida. We lost to Florida in 08. And I got so sick of those people doing the whole gator chop in my face. Beating them and walking out of the stadium and not talking shit was the best thing ever, because it's like, we knew we were going to beat you anyway.
That's like rushing the field.
Yeah, right.
Come
on, man. We've been there.
Yeah, that's a compliment to who you beat. It's like, we didn't think we could beat you. We didn't have the confidence that we thought we could beat you. So now we're going to make this night something we'll never forget, because we may never be back.
Well, I didn't think Florida was going to be down this long.
Oh, I didn't either.
When I walked out of there, I figured, well, we're going to be battling these guys for a long time. But I would think that LSU is, I've been to LSU and it's so loud in there.
Florida's so strange, because they're up one year, they're down the next. They're up 2 years later, they're down the next. It's just, we played them in the SEC championship. Now, that was when the East wasn't as strong. And then they disappeared. And then I think Mac was playing them. I guess they made it a couple of years, but the East just wasn't very strong for about 5-6 years in a row in the 2010s.
Right.
When Trask was there, they had a squad there. They had a pretty good team.
That 2020 team, if Alabama wouldn't have been as good as they were, the Kyle Pitts.
Oh yeah,
that was a good team. Like,
if John Mechie doesn't
knock that guy out,
fumble.
Oh God, that was one of the best plays ever. You guys tell me. We had Ryan Anderson in here the other day. We were talking about the 2015 Alabama-Tennessee game and his forced fumble. We wanted Daniel Moore to do a print. That Mechie play, that was worth a print.
Oh yeah.
When you talk about like the big play in a game, man.
But at the time, it didn't, when that happened, you weren't thinking it was going to be the shootout that it was. It was still a shootout, but you thought Alabama was going to pull away at the end.
Yeah.
But
they never did, though.
One of the Ole Miss game. I don't know if there was a single punt that game.
God, that was
until maybe right at the end.
That Ole Miss game was, what did we have? We got every single yard except like 50 in the whole game.
Yeah, every single gainable yard we had. Until
it was
the
like
end.
53 or something.
Yeah,
it was like crazy. Like, we just absolutely wore those guys out. Yeah, that's crazy to think that, like, it's our last national championship, because we've been so spoiled. Look, I got a whole wall of them right here. That's yours. Some pretty amazing ones. What do you think about what's the learning curve going to be for Kalen DeBoer? Like, at this point, like, if you're like, hey man, here's some tips for you taking this job from where he is right now, not like first day on the job, but like kind of getting ready for the first game as a head coach.
I don't think, here's what in the SEC, especially at Alabama, I think you build a good foundation and you're constantly on the rise. The problem is, once you start having success and your coaches get a big name, Coach DeBoer is going to win. I just have a hard time believing he's not. But once you get to the top of the pyramid, and I think he's going to win a national championship at Alabama, hopefully multiple. But once you start, Kane Womack starts getting, a lot of publicity, and he leaves, and then he takes a lot of those guys with him, and then you got to rehire, bring in a new team, try to win, quickly with a new staff. You win again, that staff leaves, and you got to rebuild again. What you saw in Coach Saban. I mean, I don't think the NIL is a new hurdle. I mean, there's no doubt about it. So we don't really know. From my perspective, I don't know what that transition is going to look like with NIL. But I know with success, you're going to lose a lot of your top talent, and so replacing that is going to be, to me, the biggest hurdle, and navigating losses in the SEC, especially at Alabama, which they're going to happen. And hopefully, we win more than 10 games this year, which I think we will.
I do too.
But navigating those losses, especially with the pressure in Tuscaloosa, he's got a lot of new obstacles here in front of him in the SEC. And so I don't think football is going to be the issue. It's going to be navigating off the field stuff and navigating success.
Right. Like where you lose 3 recruits and it's like you lose them to your rivals, and you know that basically part of the reason that these guys are probably getting overpaid in NIL is just to it's not just what they do on the field. It's also like to embarrass Alabama. And that's just part of what we're going to be dealing with now.
Oh, well, you know that all these rivals that we have, I mean, Texas, Tennessee is going to be, they're going to try to poach as many Alabama guys as they possibly can and keep us down, for as long as they can as well. And Auburn, I mean, I know that I would imagine our NIL numbers are pretty similar, but when a guy commits to Alabama, you know that they're going to throw a lot of money at those Alabama commits to get them to leave. I mean, you get one 5-star to flip from Alabama to Auburn. That in Auburn's book, that might as well be 2 5-stars.
Oh yeah, right on. Here's a question. I didn't even know Kane Womack's dad coached Ole Miss, but he said, did you play against Womack's defense when his dad was at Ole Miss?
Who did?
That's what C. Dial asked.
Trying to think. I don't think so.
Maybe a little before
your time. Trying to remember who the DC was there. I can't remember.
What about this defense that he has? This swarm, What do you know about this defense, and how do you attack it as a quarterback?
I know he's aggressive, and that's one of those. You got to have some real athletes to play in the SEC with that type of defense. You got to have guys that can defend the run, and also, cover guys, which is hard to find. But at Alabama, you can do that, and I think he's willing to live and die by the sword, and I think that's kind of the way you got to play nowadays in order to. We're going to score enough offensively and be consistently enough on offense, I think, to be able to take those risks, bring pressure, play man on the back end, and see what happens. Again, just a few turnovers nowadays in college football can be the difference in the game. And so, if we can force a couple interceptions, a fumble or two in the backfield, that's a difference in a win or loss, especially when you're playing teams like Georgia, Texas, these big games where it's going to be 1 or 2 possession ball games. So I think the aggression and the ability to turn the ball over with his defense is going to play a huge role in winning some of these big games. Again, it's his first year. I know Coach DeBoer's, he's inheriting a lot more than what Coach Saban inherited back in 2007. I think we're going to have a pretty good year, but we're going to, it'd be crazy to say we're not going to lose some games this year, but I think we're going to really play right there with Georgia, Oklahoma. Well, I think we'll beat Oklahoma. But
you want to go with Ryan to Oklahoma? Do you think that'd be a good idea for us?
I mean, it'd be really fun.
I would love to go.
It's a great idea.
I think it's a great idea. I'm ready to go to Norman with Ryan.
Oh yeah. And see that, yeah, I know Hugh Freeze was the head coach. I just can't remember who the DC was. Hugh Freeze. So this Dial, this is the first time he's listening. Hugh Freeze gave me my first offer out of high school when he was at Arkansas State, and then he offered me after I was leaving Florida State to go to Ole Miss, and you know, I like Hugh Freeze a lot. I mean, he was always great to me.
Right.
So I definitely knew who I was playing. That's for sure. But I don't know who the DC was. I can't remember.
This is the biggest difference, and I agree with this right here. That the last 4 to 5 years, Alabama defense hasn't taken the ball away like it did before. I mean, you think about some of those championship teams. Think about all the turnovers that you guys got. Think about all the Minkah Fitzpatrick turnovers. You know, I mean, there was one year where Alabama was like, not last year, but the year before that, they were one of the worst teams in the SEC when it came to getting turnovers.
Man, I remember when we were, I've never seen probably one of the biggest coaching points in 2015. And I'll never forget, because it was so annoying, was, you know, Coach Saban would, I mean, if you weren't going for the football, every time you tackled the running back or whoever had the ball.
I remember this.
I mean, it was if you didn't go for the ball, it was like you were running laps, you getting your ass cussed out. I mean, it was. And so every time you had the ball, if somebody came close to you, they were trying to rip that ball out. It didn't matter if the play was over. It didn't matter, you know, when or where. And they were going for that ball. And so, I mean, I can't speak on after I was gone, but I know when I was there, my gosh, you know, if you weren't trying to get that ball out of that running back's hand or whoever had the ball, I mean, you were going to get an earful.
Really?
And so every time, I mean, it got so annoying.
Right, because that was Kirby's last year, right?
It was.
And then he stuck around, which I have a lot of respect for him for doing this, and finished the job. Because the next year, we had Lane Kiffin get another job, and the rest is history, as you say. He didn't make it to the championship game. Some people didn't feel like he made it to the first round game. So, you know. Anyway, all right, dude, it's fun. We just did a bit. We did an hour. We appreciate all you guys for hanging out with us on here and talking. This is episode number 90, which I still can't even believe that.
It's flown by.
I mean, seriously.
Having a good time, just like that hour.
I mean, really, like, can you believe it's like we're at an hour? And honestly, if somebody was like, hey, you guys got to do another hour, I don't think it would even feel like it was even that long.
No, I don't either.
It blows by. It's just that we have other obligations.
Yeah, that's right.
That's right. You know, not everyone appreciates when we do an extra hour. Cover Crimson does. There's some other people that are in our lives that are like, hey, you guys got to cut it off. But please, guys, do this. Thumbs up if you enjoyed the show. Thank you for getting in the comment section. Kickback, man. We appreciate it. Keith, you're the Keith Holcomb I know. I'll just put it like that.
That's right. That's right.
Thanks for hanging out.
Comment. I like it. Keep them coming. And so we got Southern Reds have been firing it up.
She's awesome. Yeah, she's a great Alabama fan. All of you guys, though, thanks for hanging out with us. Like and subscribe. Make sure you're part of what we're doing. And look, joining us at Cover Crimson, you got a lot of options out there of the stuff that you can be involved in. I know that, and I get it. But we really want you to be a part of what we're doing. So we just ask you to join us, see what you get. $1, you know, not going to kill you. Not going to break the bank. But as we build this thing, we're going to have a lot of fun doing it, and we want you to be a part of it. So any final thoughts, Jake Coker?
Keith Holcomb, girl got skills.
All right.
Let's not be too tough on our guy DeBoer. No matter what happens, you got to give him some time. He's obviously a go-getter, so hoping for the best. I think that line's at 9.5 wins. I think we go over that for sure. And got to keep the family together.
Let's do it. Roll Tide, everybody.
Roll Tide.